Hello, good evening. Back with another one of those, like, every so often at this point news updates. As tends to happen, we had one of those, we had Gencon, and then we had a week of not very much news at all. Basically, UVS Games was mostly sick from the con. And then, of course, we got like 3 days of a whole bunch of stuff all piled together towards the end of last week. Little caught up in Genshin stuff this weekend, but getting around to this news update to see if anything came along on Monday. We've got a little bit of stuff, so summarize here. First things first, we have the organized play proceeding as usual. We've had 2 RLEs, both Gencon and the UK were won by Life Overhaul decks. This is Andrew Holder and Luke Quincy, respectively. So, Overhaul off of Life looking pretty strong. Don't want to get too results oriented. It doesn't mean that he's like absolutely dominating everything and XOing and there's 10 in every top cuts or anything like that. Just very highly played, doing very well, won a couple of events. So certainly a good deck there. Pushing up the price of repeated 100% smash a little bit. I think it's up to $99.99 now, but we'll see how that goes as we move forward with a couple more RLEs to go. The provisional promo redemption is now live. Those are available. They made them available like a couple weeks before they are legal. They are not legal until September 1st, so any that you have or anything that you're redeeming for, you should be able to get in time, in theory, if they turn around the shipping pretty quickly, which has been an issue for them, so we'll see how that goes. But if you've been waiting for redemption to go up for provisional promos, those are live. There will be a link in the description for that, as well as the top 16 deck lists for Gen Con and the UK as well. Also, of course, the next RLE is here in Rochester. Please come check it out if you can make it at all. It should be a good time. We're starting to get not a whole lot, I don't want to say it's like a solid format or anything like that, but we're starting to see some shapes. We at least know what decks are popular, what you can try to prepare for, what you sort of need to be thinking about as you build your decks. So only 2 more RLEs before Nationals, and if you're not invited yet, this is a great chance to try to earn an invite as well. I think invites passed down to like 71st place at Gen Con, so really, if you come here and you have, at least an okay record, right? You do break even around abouts there or better, you may very well get an invite from that. So yeah, come check it out. Millennium Games new store, very large store, pretty cool place to check out. Lots of food nearby. Yeah, come on down. Some odds and ends before we get into sort of the big news. Luhan did another interview at Gen Con that was posted with Dan from Main Deck. Once again, similar to the other video that they posted, not really breaking any news there, kind of aimed at people that aren't, are sort of like loosely aware of the game, that sort of thing. A little more teasing of future IPs they really want to get fighting games kind of stuff. Nothing solid, of course. Secondly, they sent out a Chibi Shinso Unexpected Hero promo to a bunch of stores just because they had them. Maybe they had them left over from a print run and didn't quite know what to do with them. Maybe they decided we still have this one more chibi we haven't used. We're going to print these up. We're going to send to stores. Anyway, pretty cool thing. Sent to stores to do with as they see fit to try to promote their events. Stores are also getting sent a bunch of buckets of Red Vines. Red Vines is sort of a Twizzler-like candy licorice type of thing. I haven't tried any yet myself, but basically UVS Games has done a partnership with Red Vines. They have a little sticker on some of their buckets, I guess, for lack of a better word. So they'll get a little bit of exposure in random supermarkets and things like that. And local game stores are getting sent some Red Vines, and people are going to be having a lot of sugar at their weeklies for the next couple of weeks. So a pretty cool little promotion. A bit of an awkward post about it. The marketing speak didn't really read very well, but that doesn't really matter at the end of the day. If you're at your locals and there's a bucket of candy on the table, now you know why. Lastly, just yesterday, they posted an update to their Discord rules. You might hear something about that. Long story short, this is one of those rule sets that lets them mute anybody for any reason and to ban anybody for any reason, pretty much. Right, just anything that they deem too confrontational or whatever, or too much harassment of UVS games or whatnot, they can just shut someone down for, if anything. Nothing that strange. Pretty much any sufficiently large Discord kind of has a rule set like that. Not necessarily very well timed because it, came after a day of people arguing about profanity filter and giving them grief about the RLE prize shipping, which is purportedly has all been shipped out. Supposedly, all of the online RLE was finally shipped out on Friday, 5 weeks after the event. We still have no explanation as to why it took that long. Nothing much in the way of statements from UVS Games about it, but it's shipped now. You should expect to get it in the next couple of weeks if you are waiting on that. If you do not get it in the next couple of weeks, go ahead and put in a ticket and message them and see what's up. Now, lastly, the big chunky news is we got a lot of details about the Nationals promo situation. The Nationals prize support, for the most part, has been detailed, not entirely, but they're going to have 12 alternate art promos. These appear to be sort of Chinese New Year themed kind of promos. So, people in China dresses in various, outfits and inspired. I think Asui is in like a Jiangxi outfit. Is that the right term? I might be using a completely wrong term here, but the like Japanese Chinese zombie type of outfit with like the little paper. Anyway, there are 12 of them. They look really good. They're using the new template. Once again, they are full art. You kind of have to look at the shading around the words in the bottom line below the artist information to see what card type it is. Or the really tiny text alternately. Attacks and characters you can always kind of tell because they have speed, damage, or hand sizes on them, that sort of thing. But the Foundation action asset differential, not very strong. You kind of just have to know what the cards are. Again, this is not what the cards in the set are going to look like. They will have much more framing and you'll see the color in a lot more places on the cards. So we still have to see how those look for non-attack cards. We've only seen feathers so far, right? But in any event, the art looks really good. The paper stock we can hope/presume will be fixed. There was the Gencon promos had some kind of really messed up printing issue, or they used a different printer or something that just did not know how to print a card, or they messed up that batch or something. So people are a little bit worried about the stock that these are going to be on, but that happened once. They've printed promos on proper stock 50 times by now, so probably shouldn't be too worried about it. And these are going to be given out. This is sort of like the way they've did promos at the Season 2 of Regionals, except a little more expanded because there's more different promos to give out. You're going to get a few of them for participating. There's going to be some certain promos assigned for side event participation, certain promos assigned for making top XYZ of the standings, and all the way up. And I want to go over the sort of rough distribution of how many of each promo you can expect to be sort of out in the ether, just to get an idea of their rarity a little bit after this here. But yeah, also the 3 side events they're gonna have running, constructed, and limited side events the whole time. But on Friday they are doing a retro side event that is every card Jasco Games and/or UVS Games has ever printed. Is legal, give or take a ban list that I think we're still waiting on the update for officially. I don't think we've gotten the updated retro ban list yet. There's one that exists on, I believe it's on the Jasco Games website, if that's still up. I don't know if that made it over to the UVS Games website, but that list, it sounds like they're going to be amending that. I don't think we've seen that amendment yet. Saturday, they're going to be doing the Super Sealed special side event. That is, depending on when that starts, that might pretty much just be for people who didn't qualify for Nationals, right? Because people who qualified are going to be playing in their Swiss rounds, at least through the first 3 or 4 rounds or so. Especially, maybe even deeper if they're trying to make like top 128 or something like that. So, that sealed event might be pretty small, but if you come to try to make it on the last chance qualifiers on Friday and you miss, you'll have something to do on Saturday. You can play in this super sealed and have a pretty good shot at, some very nice promos for your trouble. And then on Sunday, for the people that aren't in Top Cuts, they're going to have a team side event. They seem to be trying to stress that they want to do this for real this time. They want to use like the real teams rules where you have to play 3 different characters and can't have more than 8 copies of cards across your 3 decks, that sort of thing. Hopefully they actually enforce that. The prizing for these side events is pretty good promo-wise, so hopefully you get a real like best of 3 teams event, like all of us old school boomers never shut up about and how good those events were. I'm going to be bringing a teams deck for sure. There's going to be a lot of people at this event. There's no guarantee that anybody's going to make top cuts at all, right? It's going to be top 32 out of probably somewhere between 300 and 600 players or something like that. So, you know, make sure you have some idea of what you're going to want to do side event-wise, make some plans, that sort of thing. The registration is not quite open yet. Sounds like they're going to be sending people an access code. The people who have an invite, you're going to get like a specific access code to allow you to register. And once you get that in your email, you'll be able to go and register. And if you register before, I believe it's September 15th, you will be eligible for a pre-registration promo card. That is a Hardened Jab. That is just about the only way to get a Hardened Jab promo. So that's a pretty big deal. Make sure you don't slack off on registering once you get that email. Don't think too many people would. There's not really any reason not to, but if you know that you're going, go ahead and register so you get that promo. Also, they have done a post. They are looking for judges. This happens before pretty much every event that UVS Games runs. They put out a Google form if you're interested in judging the event. Usually the judge compensation is pretty good in terms of the promo haul that you get. They're the same with casting. So, you know, if judging is something you might be interested in doing, go ahead and apply for that. I think that covers everything we need to catch up on. I might be missing some little bits. Oh yeah, the biggest part of the Nationals prize we still do not know yet. They have not told us what the model of the prizing for the HLC is going to be, or if it's even going to be called the HLC anymore, right? If they are wanting to move to a multi-IP format, they might not want to be the Hero League Championship branding anymore. We don't really know anything about that event other than it's theoretically still happening and probably still happening in January. That's presumably still the plan, but UVS Games has been kind of radio silent about the matter. And so if your decision on whether or not to go to Nationals hinges on whether or not the World Championship prizing is interesting to you, unfortunately, you're just going to kind of have to be in the dark until if and when. I mean, they might not even tell us until after the Nationals are over, right? But, you know, hopefully they see fit to tell us anything about that event sooner than later. But yeah, so that's still an unknown. But in terms of the direct promo haul at Nationals itself, we do know what's going on there, and I have a little tab here. This is a bit of like me estimating roughly how many copies of these promos are going to be out there. I did not exclude character card promos because by and large there's an eraser head that everyone's going to get for entering. That, you know, that's going to be pretty common. It's not going to be a card you're necessarily going to have too much trouble trading for if you don't go. Right? There's going to be a lot of those out there. But, you know, as for the rest of them, and then there's two other characters are top 32 characters, but they're Mineta 2 and Ojiro 2, the errated Ojiro 2. So, same thing, probably not going to be the most extraordinarily valuable cards. So I really just want to give people a sense here, because there's some side event prizing where you pick the promo that you get, and people are going to want to try to, like, square up what promo should I get, right? Or if you're trying to do trading or that sort of thing. So, the way it breaks down, I believe Summon Dark Shadow and Passing the Torch, I think there's probably going to be about 2 or 3 of those per entrant. So, you get one for signing up for... You get one of each for signing up for the Nationals in general. And then it is also... side event participation for any of their running sealed pods or on-demand 8-man constructed pods. So presuming that some number of people enter those pods plus the amount that, you know, the top 64, 32, etc. get in terms of extra copies, I think that's going to shake out to being like 2 or 3 per entrant. Back Alley Haymaker's a little more scarce because it's only participation for the specialty side event, but that's being said, most people will probably enter one. Right, most people will probably enter the teams on Sunday, if nothing else, possibly the retro. And again, there's going to be some more of those in the top level of prizing, so that's probably going to be around 2 per entrant. That might be the one that people sort of assume is going to be super mega high value and really go after, so that may have a higher value than you would think for the number that they're going to be out there, but I mean, it should be a solid like 2 or so per person that shows up to Nationals. And then the Hardened Jab, as I mentioned before, is pretty much just going to be 1 per person. It's going to be everyone who pre-registers, which is going to be everyone save for people who earn their invite at Las Vegas, basically, or some really late PSC, or people who just can't decide that, you know, can't nail down that they're going until really late. But, you know, there's also going to be some as side event prizing, that sort of thing. So it will be about one of those per entrant. And across the 3 events, right? So, you know, some of these numbers are going to be a little bit high down below because we don't even know. I mean, Oceania probably won't even get 128 players, right? We don't quite know how many EU is going to get. But the Exploding Pride, the top 128 promo, figure if we assume that every event just maxes out a capacity or whatever, there's probably going to be about 160 of those. Again, there's some side event pricing going on. There's some more given out as you go up the top cuts. The big ones are the next tier. The top 64 promo is a tongue whip and a 1.3 million volts. Those are probably going to be the peak value here, just because of how ubiquitous those cards are. And, you know, one of them's Asui, and it's kind of a cool, you know, zombie Asui art. And 1.3 million volts is 1.3 million volts, right? So those are the top 64 prize, as well as, you know, some, if you win a side event, you get to, like, pick a promo. I think a lot of people probably going to pick those, and there's some, you know, again, extra copies at really high finishes. But those are going to be, there's going to be about 90 to 100 of those per event, give or take. So you figure the total card pool on those could be like about 300 if you have 50 people that want playsets. That's really going to cramp down on how many are available. So those should be pretty spicy. The top 64 is a pretty solid goal to shoot for, I think, for this event. Even though, you know, top 32, obviously you've made top cuts and you have a shot at the World Championship. Top 64 is still not going to be too bad. And then the top, let's say it's the top 16 promo. Yeah, I think it's the top 16 promo is, there's a quick creation and first day of class. The first day of class pictured above. And those should be about 30 or 40 between the top cuts finalists getting, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4 of those as they go up, and the specialty side event winners are all going to get one or the other, and presumably, like, these are going to be, you know, I assume that the judges and whatnot will get these. They might cap their rewards out at the tongue whip and 1.3 million volts. So like 30 to 40 sort of depends on which one people pick. They might both be closer to 30, depends on like side event math, something like that. But those will definitely be the rarest cards. But because they're quick creation and first day of class and not tongue whipping 1.3 million volts, I don't know if they'll necessarily be more valuable. They do still see play, but they're both really in like 1 or 2 decks kind of cards. So and they do have the waifu text. You never know. So yeah, that's a rough lowdown. So, you know, if you're trying to plan out what promos you want to go after, looking at the side event prizing, or you make top 4 at a side event, you get to pick a promo for a lot of these. Hopefully this guideline gives you some idea of what you're looking for. So yeah, hopefully that was helpful. Tons of links in the description, as always, to most everything mentioned here. And yeah, just hang out. We'll see. We'll have the next news video when there is enough news to have a news video, right? That's kind of how this goes. I do want to I'm thinking of doing one of those like meta update videos again, because I think we have a decent idea of what this meta looks like now heading into the last 2 RLEs and the string of nationals events. So I kind of want to talk about that a little bit. So, you know, that might be the next video if I can put something together for it. But, you know, until then, have a good night.